the Jets are receiving a second-round pick and a first-round pick in 2027. Danny, was it a mistake for Dallas, in your mind, to be buyers at the trade deadline?
Yes, it was. But I try to approach these things rationally, with like some degree of logical consistency. And I think that's a huge mistake when we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys. Because the thing that made news from that interview before the game yesterday was what you just alluded to. That, like, Jerry called his shot. He's like, I got a trade.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I can make it if I want to. And then they lose the game, and he ends up making the trade anyway, as Nick was pointing out earlier, the result of the game obviously had no bearing on the trade. But there was something else he said in the interview that I thought was worth bringing up for this conversation today, because I think it's as direct of an admission of what Jerry is doing that makes them one team and 31 teams someone else. So here's what he said to Stephen A. on the radio yesterday. What you do is a little bit of my philosophy. The Dallas Cowboys probably have the kind of interest that we have, in no small part because we stay out front and we stay controversial. When it gets slow, I stir that bleep up. Fact, I just want to be relevant. I just want you to be looking at us. And so I bring that up because I don't think it makes sense to trade away Micah Parsons and then trade for Quinnen Williams when you're 3-5-1. But if you zoom out, in 2022, when they won 12 games, what'd they do at the deadline? Nothing. We were talking about them. 2023, when they won 12 games, what'd they do at the deadline? Did they make a move to get them over the top? No. We were talking about them. But last year, they were bad. They traded for that receiver, Mingo, or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Put him in the news for just a minute.
That was great.
Yeah.
And then this year, this weird kind of out of nowhere big swing trade. And I like Quinnen Williams when we could talk about the football side of it. And I actually think Nick was a little harsh on it earlier, and we'll get into it. But, like, why is there a weird holdout every year with a star player to make us talk about them? Like, I don't believe that this trade is 100% motivated by football reasons. I feel like he justifies it because they're leading the 5 o'clock hour today.
That's a good point. I think there's some truth to that last statement you made. But the problem with you and Nick today, and the reason y'all are so exasperated, is because you're late to the party. They have no plan, okay? They fly by the seat of their pants. And I've known it for 5-6 years now and been saying it. All right? I mean, like I don't expect Jerry, and I do think Jerry, and you guys would be right on that, is thinking, here we go. We're 3-5-1. We're only a few games out. We're about to make a run. And their schedule is tough. So they got Detroit and the Bills, I think the Chiefs. But I agree. It would have been best just to keep Micah. Signed him a few years ago, in fact, right? But now that they're where they are, I like Quinnen Williams as an ad. And I get it. If he were on the last year of his deal and it was like we're going for it now, it would clearly be a mistake. But bringing him into that facility for the next at least 3 years or so, 2-3 years, I think is a good move. So and look, the draft, you don't know. I mean, you're getting in Quinnen Williams, a potentially great player who has been great just a few years ago. You don't necessarily know that in the draft. You said Maye Smith. Yeah. They thought he was going to be special.
First-round pick, he just
right?
nothing.
And so they got a known commodity that is only 27 years old that can be good for them for the next few years. So I think going forward, it'll be fine. I don't think it'll save them and get them in the playoffs this year.
I do think, though, there's an element where – so if people weren't watching earlier, I think this is abjectly insane. I think that when you look at, and I know, KW, you want me to separate the Micah trade and the Quinnen Williams trade, but part of the Quinnen Williams trade was potentially something they got in the Micah trade. Like, they are inextricably tied. They don't make this trade without making the other one. And forget even the fact that Jerry sold us the Micah trade on, we now can get 4 players, and it looks like they're getting really 1. But they are trading away their second rounder this year, which is right now projected to be about pick 45. The Packers' first rounder that they got is projected to be around pick 25. So that's a 20-pick difference. And then next year, they are trading away the better of the Packers' pick and their own pick. So they are swapping out Maye Smith and Micah Parsons for Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark and moving up 20 spots in the draft. That is the net of this and saving some salary cap dollars. Yes, I think that is horrific process and bad business. I also think, though, Jerry has worked his magic a bit, not just in getting us to talk about him, but because Quinnen, the last year and a half, has not been quite as good as he was early, just like Sauce. And the argument is, well, yeah, but that's because he was with some sad, bad franchise like the Jets. He's going to be all of a sudden peak motivated because he's with the Cowboys? The 3-5-1, tours coming through the locker room, bad culture, circus Cowboys. Now we're going to get the best Quinnen Williams? Like, I don't buy it. They are still viewed as this prestige franchise because they are a prestige franchise, but I don't know that. If we heard today the Cincinnati Bengals made this trade, I would think it would be insane. The Bengals are in the exact position. One guy's not fixing the defense. This year is dead. Your offense is already all set and already all locked up. I don't understand it.
So I think, to be clear, this is an overpay for Quinnen Williams, a 27-year-old. I agree, very good. But I think it's an overpay for him. Where I think Jerry would disagree with you is he would say, we have gotten 4 or 5 players for Micah Parsons because of the point that you've been bringing up, the money difference. Like, Quinnen Williams is on a 4-year, $96 million deal. He's in year 2 of it. Micah is about to enter a 5-year, $210 million contract with the Packers. That's a significant difference. Since the Cowboys have traded Micah Parsons, they gave, Osa Odigizua an $80 million contract to stay. They gave Deron Bland a bunch of money to stay. They gave Tyler Smith a bunch of money to stay. Jerry would argue he would not be able to sign those players to keep them in Dallas if they had to give Micah Parsons $200 million.
Right. What they've done is they've overpaid defensive players for a terrible defense. That's what they've done.
Oh, again, I'm not saying that the allocation of resources is correct, but to say that it's just Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams, where Jerry would be like, but I wouldn't be able to sign these other guys.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on it, but the whole idea behind this is not this coming off season from now, they are re-signing Quinnen Williams to a deal that shatters Chris Jones's. And you don't trade this for him to be on your team for a year and a half, or 2.5 years. You do it because you want him there long term. Like, yes, he will be cheaper than Micah, but the actual real money save is very temporary before his $24 million a year becomes $38 million a year, or whatever it's going to be. I am not shocked that the Colts went for it. I think it's a mistake, but I at least understand it. I am shocked that the Cowboys were working out a trade last night that was not finalized, then watched that game and went through with it. And can I ask you a question before we move on? Do you think if Jerry hadn't said that to Stephen A., they still make the trade?
I mean, probably.
I just want.
Are we writing? I'm not ready to. I don't know.
You are ready to write off the Cowboys for this season.
But I feel like if the Cowboys did nothing, and again, the last night's game kind of colors our view of the Cowboys. If they did nothing, the question we would ask, surprise Cowboys didn't try to bolster their defense? That would be a fair question to ask. They've got a good offense that had a down game against the Cardinals, and Jacoby Brissett looked like a Pro Bowler. Surprised the Cowboys just stood pat. I'd be like, yeah, they should have done something.
I guess I would have said, no, it's the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
For this year.
To be 31 and 32 and everything, I think is odd.
Oh, listen, Quinnen Williams makes their defense better. But this year they're in 11th place.
But get him now for the next few years.
Okay. Big shakeup in the top 10. This is not about January. This is not benefit of the doubt for the future. Injuries are factored in. This is what I think of your team today. So a big drop for bruised Packers coming in at number 10. I think the Tucker Kraft injury is massive for them. He matters a ton for their ability in the middle of the field. Their running game doesn't look right. They're booing their kicker at home. Bryce Young had 2 road victories in his career, went into Lambeau as a 2-touchdown underdog and won. They're good. They're just not great. They're the 10th best team in the NFL. At number 9, Wilds' Patriots. you showed it earlier. It truly is remarkable in a 6-game winning streak. Drake Maye has an argument to be the MVP of the league over the last 6 games. If you're first across the board, he could have been a Bear. MV Caleb. I'm not staying up at night about it. I'm not thinking about it.
Caleb's on the mark.
It's not something I'm thinking about. It's not something I'm thinking about.
Pause. Top 10
just
Tuesday.
thinking about it, maybe.
You can't. You got that.
I'm
has
not thinking
to be
about
inner
it.
monologue.
I'm not thinking about it.
You can't say that you're having regret.
I'm not thinking about it.
You
Caleb
just
over Drake
dropped
Maye.
him.
Everything's fine.
Wow.
Everything's fine.
Wow.
Everything's fine.
Coming off one of his best games.
Yikes.
Wow.
It was a great game.
Like I
Caleb.
said,
Ben Johnson on the show
it was
tomorrow.
the Bengals.
Coming up at number 8, the Indianapolis Colts. I think an aberration for Indy with the 6 giveaways. Still love the offensive line. Still love Jonathan Taylor. And really, what bad loss to the Steelers, because you just went all in for Sauce Gardner. Would I have made that move? No, I wouldn't trade 2 first-round picks for anyone who isn't a quarterback. I think trading 2 first-round picks and then some for defensive players, generally speaking, ages really poorly. But I do support the aggression, and makes them basically the most interesting team in the NFL in the second half of the season. At number 7, my NFC Championship pick for the last 3 years,
dropping.
the Detroit Lions. Listen, that was a bad performance. They got run all over. They had a kick block. Their offense did not kick in. Their offense has not been as good the last couple of games. I like that the defense is largely healthy. I think that Dan Campbell will figure it out. But allowing 4 touchdowns to J.J. McCarthy, I got to drop the Lions for now. At number 6, welcome back to the Baltimore Ravens.
Pandering.
What? No.
The pandering.
Nick, what do you hate about my ability
Not
to
the
watch football?
standings. I love it.
My
Danny.
eye test.
Not the standings.
The eye test, baby. The defense is healthy, and when Lamar starts and finishes a game, I mean, it's a top 3 offense in football.
Yeah, it is.
35 a game, 6 yards per play, a passer rating of 141, and 9 explosive plays per game. All of those are top 3 ranks in the NFL. With a healthy defense and a healthy Lamar Jackson, Baltimore is back to being an elite team in the NFL. At number 5, big fall for the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, it's not January.
At least they're ahead of Baltimore.
They beat them.
It's very kind of you.
They beat them. And again, this isn't January, but Mahomes' worst game, arguably, of his career against a defense that we thought was bad. And I know you say vanilla game plan, but you lost a Saturn betting on the Chiefs in that spot. We thought they were going to be better. We thought they were going to be better.
Private information.
I'm just saying.
How much is a Saturn?
They don't sell them.
Yeah, but it's vintage.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of money. At number 4, the champs, the Philadelphia Eagles, rounded into form, cannot wait for their game Monday night against the Packers, a 4v10 matchup in Top 10 Tuesday. A couple of weeks ago, Jalen Hurts looked great, then Saquon looked great. Defense continues to improve under Vic Fangio. They keep adding little ancillary parts around the end. Still think that defense hasn't played their best football yet. Eagles, a very scary football team. And now we get weird. The Seattle Seahawks come in as the 3rd best team in the NFL. Trivia question. How many teams in the NFL are top 5 in the NFL in both offense and defense?
Just Seattle.
Good job by you.
Context,
The Seattle Seahawks are
Would have been weird if the answer was like
14
Rams.
Yeah, all right, I guess I gave it away. Seattle top 5. But let's dig a little deeper into the numbers here on Seattle. Points per game, 5th. Opponents' points per game, 5th. They sack you, the 3rd most, but they get sacked the literal least. 3rd best passer rating, 5th best opponent passer rating. What don't they do well? The Seattle Seahawks come in at number 3, but we are 2 weeks away from an NFC West matchup that I cannot wait for. The game is in LA. I trust Matt Stafford in the 2nd place in Danny's top 10. LA Rams at number 2. I loved him at number 1 on Bruce ballot for MVP. The touchdown to interception ratio is ridiculous. The young defense is ridiculous. Best run organization in the NFL. They've got an argument for it with 2 first-round picks coming up in this draft. They do, Nick.
I don't know. I think Philly and Kansas City probably have a pretty strong argument for the best run organization.
Okay, I understand, but with their quarterback, with their ability to retool their defense, the youth on their roster, the amount of draft capital they still have, the Rams are absolutely in that conversation. And then at number 1, the Buffalo Bills. What do I have to say? I didn't know if their defense could do it, and then they did it to the best offense in football. Everyone says, why don't they trade for a receiver? I don't know, because they basically score more points than any team in the NFL with Josh Allen, that offensive line, and James Cook. Defense rounding into form. The Bills are your best team in football. Brew.
Top 10 Tuesday.
Perfect top 10?
Not perfect, but not bad. Before I get to the Ravens, I think I would move the Eagles to second.
Okay.
Ahead of the Rams. They obviously beat the Rams, and ahead of the Seahawks, though I really like the Seahawks. I don't mind them moving up from last week. But the Ravens. And I didn't even bring up the addition of Draymond Jones from Cleveland, by the way. He'll help. He's not great, but 4.5 sacks in his last 4 games. That is on pace for his career high for him. The Ravens, even as their defense has been improving, they got 11 sacks in 8 games. So they've been at the bottom of the league, basically, in terms of pass rush. So he'll help a little with that. And that defense is improving. And like you said, Lamar's back, and the schedule's very favorable. So I like it. Look, not the standings. Nick talks that talk, but when the tears come out, it's kind of the standings.
The Ravens,
not the standings.
Not the standings.
Okay.
Not the standings.
This is just rife with errors.
Whoa!
Rife
with errors.
Listen, I'm not even going to worry about the Chiefs piece of it. By your own logic, the Chiefs lost a 1-score game on the road to the best team in football.
Yeah.
Why they plummet, I don't know.
I mean, they're 5-4.
But they were 5-3, and you had them as the best team in the league a week ago. I am shocked and borderline appalled by your lack of faith in Justin Herbert. I can't. They just won. They
did win.
They were on the top 10 previously.
They were number 10.
And yet they're out. Why?
Well, Joe Alt is out for the season, and as I said before, state of the team today.
Well, okay, the Green Bay Packers lost Tucker Kraft and lost an awful game. The Chargers lose Joe Alt and win. Listen,
the Packers were ranked higher.
Here's the deal.
Okay.
Deep down, with your eye test, you've watched the Chargers and your beloved Justin Herbert this year, and you're like, he's not the guy.
He's kind of
not the guy.
It's not all about the quarterback.
You're like, he's not
we
the
haven't
guy.
seen
It's
a
a
Peyton
team
Manning
game.
comp
We haven't
in
exactly.
weeks.
You're like, he's not the guy. But
team
the
game.
biggest, okay. Then on that front, where the hell are the Bucks? If it's a team game,
About to be
and
6
it's
and
not
5.
just okay. But what are they right now?
6-2.
Yes, and so I don't think, like you said, it's not January. It's also not December.
No,
it's also not November 10th. It's what day is
also
it?
not the
November
standings.
4th.
It's also not the
I
standings,
understand.
Brew. Thank you, Brew.
But what more do the Bucks need to do to prove to you? How many
Margin of victory would help.
How many
They
teams?
squeaked by
How
the
many
Jets.
teams? Hold on.
Thank you.
Am I tripping? Did the Bucks beat Seattle? Am I?
Yeah,
Am I?
38-35.
Am I right about that? They beat Seattle.
They did.
They did the Bucks? They beat someone else in your top 10, but I'm forgetting who it is. Did they beat the Rams? I can't quite remember. How are they not in your top 10?
They're not in my top 10 because injuries. No, I love Baker.
All their guys are coming back. Bucky Irving's coming back. Their right tackle's coming back.
Mike Evans is not coming back. And they are in a situation where all the 1-score wins that they have right now feels very unsustainable. And the schedule that they are about to impart on, if they come out of this upcoming stretch, out of the bye with New England, Buffalo, and the Rams, and they go 2-1 in that stretch, big public apology from me for the Bucks. I think those are 3 losses.
3
coming
losses
up for Tampa Bay.
Okay.
I do.
All right. It was
3 losses.
San Francisco was the team I was thinking, but they're also
Which are not in
your
my top 10. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
You know what? The Patriots beating the Bucks saved it at the end. I like that. I'm a little nervous.
Of course you should be
Very
nervous.
Off a bye.
So I guess the Patriots are
nervous.
guaranteed to be in Danny's picks this weekend. They got to
Yeah,
be.
that's-
They're underdogs, right?
2.5, yeah.
So you've got the Bucks losing, and you're getting points. Lock that in now.
Lock that in right now.
Yeah.
Lock that in right now. We welcome you back with another trade from the Jets earlier today. And based on the compensation, the biggest trade of the day, cornerback Sauce Gardner is going to the Colts. In return, the Jets, not 1, but 2 first-round picks and wide receiver A.D. Mitchell. An absolute blockbuster of a trade. Here's Sauce Gardner's reaction. Quite simply, New York, it's been real. I'm tearing up over the emotion. Sauce Gardner passer rating allowed against not off to the best start, though no receiver has more than 2 catches against him so far in a single game this year. Greg, you're a big Colts guy. Who won the trade?
Look, right now, I would go with the Colts. Now, I think if you're a Jets fan and you're looking at the trade value that they acquired because of this, hoping that you are going to get some quality picks because of it and talent, you're going to say the Jets. But for me, what the Colts are doing right now is saying, we believe in this roster. We believe in Daniel Jones. We need to shore up what we don't have in our secondary with a player that we believe in. And given the scheme that he will now be in, given the environment that he's going to be now put in, those numbers that we just showed the audience, like, I get that he has regressed, if you will, or declined in his performance. But when you go to work every day and it is a struggle to be there, I don't care how great you are, it's going to tax you in terms of what you're going to be able to translate to the field. Now he's going to go into a situation where he believes that they think, man, I'm the missing piece to something that can be very special. So I like this for the Colts in the interim right now.
I was floored by what they gave up for him. Like, he is crazy talented, and how he came into the league, it looked like he was going to change the game in some ways. I mean, first team All-Pro, his first couple of years in the league. And I get it, the Colts, they're 26th in passing yards allowed, right? He is a good player that fills a weakness for the team. They're trying to win a Super Bowl. I respect the logic and the aggression of it from just filling a need. But trading multiple first-round picks for a non-quarterback is risky business. And it's littered with, a couple of hits. Jalen Ramsey ended up winning a Super Bowl for the Rams.
Exactly.
But he was gone a couple of years later.
Yep.
Khalil Mack had a great first year in Chicago, but not much after that. The Jamal Adams trade, a disaster.
That was complete
of a trade. Micah Parsons, we'll see how it ages. Giving up a wide receiver and 2 first-round picks for a guy that you can just not target if you don't want to me is a massive amount of capital. And I would be concerned if I'm the Colts and it's like, the Jets hired Aaron Glenn. They hired a defensive coach. And maybe he got there and looked around and was like, these guys are talented, but their reputation exceeds their actual production. A defensive coach being willing to trade away Sauce Gardner right when he gets there tells me that Sauce Gardner has maybe become a tad overrated. Overrated.
So that very well could be true. However, I would like to look at it and propose this. When you are Sauce Gardner and you're drafted into an organization and you have the amount of success that he has right out the gate, along with Quinnen Williams, who we now know has been traded, we'll talk about that later. And you are in an organization where they fire your head coach, a guy that was on your side of the ball, that put you in the best situation to be successful as a player, and then the guy that was then calling plays, he's no longer there. All this turnover. And you bring in a guy who, Aaron Glenn, who I might like, but now I'm in a place where I'm all pro. There's a sense of entitlement. So the way that I approach work is slightly different. A new environment is necessary. Sometimes a new environment is necessary for a reboot. And I just believe that what Sauce Gardner was, it's easy for us to say, you know what? He's not that anymore.
Well, he's 25. I'm sure he still is a wildly talented, effective player. It could work for the Colts. I feel like for the Jets, which is why I'm comfortable saying they won the trade, they were a bad defense and a losing team with him.
Of course.
So you could be a bad team and a bad defense and a losing team without him, and then you have a couple of first-round picks and you freed up a bunch of money. Like I love it from the Jets' perspective, and it will be very interesting to see if one cornerback can solve the pass defense for the Colts.
And that's what they're not asking one cornerback. It feels like that because we're in the moment and they've just shipped off 2 first-round draft picks and a receiver that was playing. And so it feels that way. However, they're thinking, okay, if we get this piece and we get Charvarius Ward back after the bye week, that's 2 pieces to our puzzle in our secondary that will then couple together, give us some insurance on the back end, I'll sign up for that.
I'll say this too. Chris Ballard, the GM of the Colts, very respected, known as being pretty conservative.
Yeah.
Like, this is a shocking trade for him to make. He must really believe that they are ready to contend with Daniel Jones.
There
your
you
guy.
go. Absolutely.
Okay.
And
That's a big bet. It's
a huge bet, and I'm with them. Let's go get it.
All right, so we're going to do kind of a state of the Cowboys thing here, Greg, because they lose last night on Monday Night Football, and then they wake up today and they trade for Quinnen Williams. They give up on Maye Smith, the 2020 this year's second, next year's first, a massive haul. So they're 3-5-1. They're the 11th seed in the NFC, but they added a 27-year-old uber-talented defensive tackle. Mistake for the Cowboys to be buyers?
No, I don't think it was a mistake for them to be buyers. Now, the timing of which they did it, some would suggest, could they have done it a lot sooner? Of course, because, and I believe you feel this way, Maye. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Their season's over.
Oh, it's over.
After last night,
it's over.
After last night, with the standings being what they are and the teams having the wins already stacked up against them, like, their season's over. So, but does he make them better moving forward? Absolutely. And if you are Jerry Jones and you are trying to sell, we're a circus. We're going to always have things going on. You're going to pay attention to what we're doing as an organization, whether we're in it or not. This is what you do. You sign a name player that you know is going to be beneficial moving forward, regardless of how we all feel about it. He is great for them in the run game. He's great for them in the pass rush because of what he can provide.
Got 1 sack this year.
Again,
he's a talented player. He's a talented player.
I can't stress this enough. If you don't like where you're working, you're probably not going to always put your best foot forward. I know it's sad to hear that. It's frustrating to hear that if you're a Jets fan, because it's like, we pay you all this money, you're a professional. Well, yeah, but when you have Woody Johnson and all the things that you have to go up against and contest against, you feel good the fact that you're away from that building.
So I think that this is motivated by Jerry Jones wanting us to talk about them, and he wants them. He's desperate. He's in his early 80s. He wants them to be relevant and hyper-aggressive. Like, if they were going to trade Micah Parsons, they should have done it before the draft, so they could have used that draft capital for a pick that would help this year's team. If you're going to trade for Quinnen Williams, do it after the season so you know exactly where your draft capital is. Like, accept what you are in the moment. You're the 11th seed in the NFC, and Quinnen Williams, talented, doesn't cover anybody. You know, and so I don't think he solves all of their pass defense issues. And it's an amazing deodorant, because I watched last night's game, and they lost that game 27-17. And do you know how many touchdowns their offense scored? If you carry the one, it would be 1. Like, their offense also was not good. Like, there is no part of this team right now today that is truly excellent. And by the way, I like Dak Prescott and how he's been playing. He's been playing great. And Pickens and Lamb are talented. And Javonte Williams has had a nice year. But this is a middling team at best. So to give up significant future capital for a guy to join the 11 seed doesn't make any sense. Add him in the offseason.
I agree with adding him in the offseason.
Like, why now?
Because you're about making splash. You're about the attention.
That's not a good reason.
For Jerry Jones, when have we said it's a good reason?
I know, but I am trying to apply, like, is this good for the football team? It's undeniably good for the brand, but is it good for the football team to give up a first-round pick and a second-round pick for a 27-year-old defensive tackle who you've got under contract for 2 years when this year you're missing the playoffs? Is that a good idea?
It's not for this year, no.
Okay.
And I don't think they made this move for this year.
Sure.
They made this move to move forward. And when we're looking at their offense, would you say their offense is a problem?
Last night it was. Overall, it is not.
Exactly.
No question.
So everybody has a hiccup every now and again, and they did last night offensively. But moving forward, you don't believe that they're going to struggle that way in that magnitude offensively. And now defensively, you feel like we've taken a step in the right direction. You talked about them not having guys in the back end to cover. But when you have guys who can get to the quarterback, move them off their spots, speed them up, you help the guys in the back end not have to cover that much longer.
There's no question about that. It's complimentary. And again, it's a weird spot to be in because Quinnen Williams is good. Quinnen Williams.
He's excellent.
Yeah, right. He obviously makes them better. But you have to compare. It's like, okay, you are spending money on Quinnen Williams. You are giving up a second-round pick this year. You are giving up a first-round pick in the 2027 draft, which draft people say is one of the best drafts in a decade. Like, it's a huge acquisition cost for a very good player on a very mediocre team.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.